Okay, so Brian's little sister asked a lot of questions. What do worms eat? Becky asked while Brian was eating his cereal in the morning. While Brian was brushing his teeth, Becky asked, Are you going to get married and call your wife Hun someday? When Brian left for school, Becky asked him, Do all the kids at your school have green notebooks like yours, or does somebody have a purple one? Brian loved his little sister and usually didn't mind answering her questions. Sometimes it was fun, and he could always tell her to go ask Mom or Dad. Mom said all kids ask questions. It's how they learn. But lately, Becky's questions were getting more frequent, and Brian was getting just a little tired of them. What's wrong with the moon? Why does it have spots on it? Becky asked Brian before bed. As soon as she woke up, she asked, Is chocolate pudding always brown? Why couldn't it be blue? One afternoon, Brian was concentrating on building a Lego city, and Becky kept asking questions. How many Legos are there in the world? And do all boy babies have curly hair? And what if the world froze and we had to get on a spaceship and live on the moon? Could I still have a puppy for Christmas? Then the skyscraper Brian had worked on for an hour broke in half, and Becky started to ask another question. Do you think that frogs? Brian yelled, No more questions. Don't ever ask me one more question. No questions allowed. Do you understand? Becky looked very sad and left the room. When Brian went to bed that night, his mom was sympathetic. She told him, Being a big brother can be hard sometimes. Becky's questions can get tiresome, I know. But imagine being in a world where questions are not allowed. Brian fell asleep thinking that a world without questions sounded pretty cool. Brian dreamed that he was in a spaceship with his family and friends, and they landed on the moon. A moon person with bright blue skin and curly yellow hair opened the door of the spaceship and said cheerfully, We are happy to be of service to the people of Earth. Since your whole world is frozen, you are welcome to stay here until it thaws. My name is Sam, and I am your guide. Everyone got out of the spaceship and looked around. Brian was amazed to see that all the buildings were made of Legos. Sam was writing something in a purple notebook. Brian said, Excuse me, I have a question. Sam looked startled. Then he spoke kindly but firmly to the whole group. No questions allowed. Please follow me to the pudding station. Everyone was given a big bowl of blue pudding. Becky was the first to try some. It was chocolate. Becky ate all of hers, and Brian gave her his bowl too. Questions kept popping into his thoughts. Did they have anything to eat here besides blue chocolate pudding? Where were they going to live? How long would they have to stay? Where did they get the Legos to build their houses? No one seemed bothered by Sam's announcements about asking questions, even Becky. In Brian's dream, everyone was happy on the moon. They lived in a Lego house and went to a Lego school. At school, the teachers talked all day, and then the kids went home. Brian didn't understand why they called it school when no questions were allowed. His head filled with questions. Where did the moon people come from? Would they ever go back to Earth again? How was he supposed to learn without asking questions? Everyone seemed happy and nice, but no one seemed to care about important things. And what was wrong with Becky? She smiled and laughed and ate pudding, but she didn't ask any questions. She didn't seem like the real Becky. Brian couldn't stand it any longer. He hugged Becky and looked into her eyes and pleaded, Please ask a question, Becky. Ask a question and I'll know you're okay. Just ask a question. The dream Becky looked at him and said, Can I have a puppy? Brian woke up. It was morning, and he could hear his dad in the kitchen making breakfast. Brian's bedroom door opened, and Becky came in. She said, Dad's making smoothies. Do you want one? Brian jumped out of bed. Great question, Becky. Ask me another one. So, that is the end of our story. I hope you enjoyed it. As you can see, a world without asking questions would be pretty tough to find out any answers, be pretty tough to know what anybody wants, just would not be good. So, sometimes if you've got a little sibling or maybe a friend at school or somebody younger than you is asking a ton of questions, just try and keep this story in the back of your mind and think about all the times that you have had to ask questions, and if I have any parents or adults watching, think of all the times that you've had to ask questions. That's how we find out how people are feeling. How would you know if somebody wanted to eat dinner? So questions are very, very important. And I think it's also important to question a lot of things about your belief system. That's always a good thing to ask questions, even just internally ask your own self questions, ask other people. I know that when I was in Sunday school, I I had a ton of questions, and whenever I would ask a question, if it was too far-fetched, sometimes people would just tell me, go tell Pastor Tim, or go ask Pastor Tim. And he is somebody who is very, very good at answering most questions. So that concludes our first lesson. And I didn't really talk about it too much at the beginning, but since we are on a new platform, I wanted to talk real quick just about progressive Christianity. Hopefully it answers some questions if you may have some for me. So progressive Christianity is this entire unit is basically, or not unit, sorry, this curriculum basically talks about, our first unit was talking about and understanding other religions across the world. And then we kind of get into learning how to be more accepting of those different religions. Somebody does not have to be Christian for you to get along with them and respect them and learn about their traditions. So if you go back on our actual Facebook page, which I can link, I think, in the description, we have all of our previous videos about all of our other lessons, kind of the beginning of the unit. If you're just starting here, that's totally okay too. So basically, we are going to just work together for the rest of the semester and learn about other religions, learn how to be more accepting of people around us, learn how to do some of our own digging into our own faith and our own religion, and just being open and accepting and welcoming of everybody, everybody's walks of life, everybody's lifestyle, religion, all of that. So, if you care to follow along, we will be posting videos. I believe they'll get linked on Sundays with our church's main sermon. So, I hope to see you back. If you are a new viewer, I hope you enjoyed the video and the lesson, and I will see you next week. Bye.